So the big question is this: how do passionate golfers like you and I develop a stock shot day in and day out? A stock shot that's as reliable as the sun coming up in the morning. That's the question, and this podcast is the answer. Welcome to Stock Shot Secrets. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stock Shot Secrets. And the question that I have to pose is like, how do you get anything done in a world that has so much to get done? Now, the people who we are talking to in this podcast is anybody who feels like they are overwhelmed, busy, don't have time to practice, and like it really sparked, to be honest, not to say this is like about me, because it's not, this is really about you and just to help you, is like, to be honest, and not to sound egotistical or boasting or whatever, but I constantly am asked, like, Kyle, like, you're running the golf room, right? Like, we got 30,000 appointments at the golf room every year, over 30,000. Like, we got all these lessons. We have the golf room everywhere. There's 50,000 clients inside the golf room everywhere, right? Like, you got College Golf Guide, and you're doing all of those stuff for the junior golfers, with the American Junior Golf Association, all this stuff. Like, how do you do all of this stuff, right? Like, do you sleep? And I go, well, I mean, I got some bags under my eyes, but like, I do sleep. I actually sleep pretty good. I sleep like 8-9 hours a day, right? So the question is like, and at the same time, my biggest pet peeve is when, especially a junior golfer, and they go, oh, sorry, I didn't have time. And I'm like, what? You don't have time? Everyone doesn't have time. No one has time, right? I mean, I legitimately run my life in 7-minute increments, right? So the reason I bring this up is that, like, we've been having these phone calls, and we started this program inside the golf room everywhere, and it's called the VIP program. And it's for people who are committed to wanting to get better, right? Like, they're passionate about getting better, and they want a coach to be an advocate in their pocket all the time. Because as I've said to you guys time and time again, I am a really passionate about players having constant contact with a coach. Meaning, if you have a question, you need an answer. I don't want to book a lesson and you spend $400 an hour to see me, and then like, or me go and spend $400 an hour to go see someone else, and then I get the lesson on a Friday, and Saturday I'm gonna have a question, and then I go, can I ask you a question? He goes, and then he doesn't get a response, no text message. And then I ask a question again on Sunday. Hey, I have a quick question. Can I ask a question? They're like, no answer. And then Monday, it's like, I got a question. And they're like, book another lesson. It's like, what? I just spent $400. So like, we have to have constant contact, right? So with all of this said and done, it's like, we need to make it so that you have no time to practice. We need to make it so that when you're practicing, you're actually practicing. Because I'm talking to these people in the VIP program. They're like, yeah, I want to do it, but like, I don't have any time to practice. And I go, well, how much time do you practice? Do you have? They're like, you're going to need me to practice like 5 days a week. Like, I could only do 2 hours a week. I go, I don't even know if I need 2 days a week. A day a week would be fine, right? And the point being is that we're all busy, right? So like, when you go out and practice, you basically, your husband or your wife or whatever, your boss, that's like, man, you have 1 hour and 25 minutes to practice. So we need to make sure, like, us as your guides, your tour guides going up the mountain, right, of Stock Shot Mountain, we need to make sure that when you're practicing, you're actually practicing. Because you don't have enough time to say, like, hey, let me go to the range. Like, I'm going to try 47 different Instagram tips that I saw, and, like, this YouTube video. And, like, you don't have time to try all that stuff. You need a clear-cut A to Z plan of what it is that you need to do, because you don't have time to waste. You need to know what it is so that when you go to the range, you have the highest ROI for your time, right? Now, in regards of highest ROI of your time, just to kind of give you a glimpse into like my life, if you go, well, Kyle, like, how do you ROI your time? Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Stock Shot Secrets podcast. If you are enjoying it, be sure to like this episode. Be sure to subscribe so you can always see when they're coming out. And most importantly, if you would be so kind to be able to share this podcast with other passionate golfers who are trying to get better and build stock shots, because it grows through you sharing it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And now back to Stock Shot Secrets. And I would say that I make use and squeeze out every single waking moment of time. So, and I can tell you what I'm going to do next Tuesday at 3:06 in the afternoon. I can tell you probably exactly where I will be, what I will be doing, who I will be talking with, and what we will be covering, right? Because everything is basically chunked, and I kind of learned that from a mentor. He's not a personal mentor, but like I kind of learned this idea of chunking from Tony Robbins because I do a lot of just self-discovery, and like I like to learn from people who are smarter than me. So like guys like Alex Hermosy, I really love Alex Hermosy. I really like Tony Robbins. I really like Dan Kennedy. I like Russell Brunson. I like just a lot of like mentors and entrepreneurs that have been in my shoes, right? I like Steve Jobs. So when you're doing all this stuff, like you have to make use of all the time. I mean, if I'm waking up every day, I get up at 5:24 in the morning, and at 5:24, like I'm getting my cup of coffee at 5:31, and then I'm getting out of the coffee at 5:35 because I got to warm up. From 5:35 to 5:45, I'm sitting on my couch and I'm kind of looking at some emails and just kind of taking in the morning, right? So that's my 10 minutes. Then I get in the car at 5:45. I get to the golf room at 5:55 to where then I work out from 6 to 7 o'clock. At 7 to 7:20, I basically drive, and while driving, I listen to basically podcasts, and I listen to books, and I listen to like maybe it's like the Bible, and I do some scripture reading, and I'm basically meditating, praying, reading, and getting myself ready for that day till 7:20. I get home at 7:20, I walk into the house, I get my wife some coffee, I wake her up at 7:30, I get in the shower at 7:30, I cook breakfast at 7:55, I'm done at we get done with breakfast at 8:10, I then get ready for the day from 8:10 to 8:40, I'm in the car the kids get on the bus at 8:42, I take my first phone call at 8:46. The guy says, "Hey, when you can call me?" I go, "Call me at 8:46. They go, "Serious?" I go, "Yeah, I'm free from 8:46 to 8:57. So we can have an 11-minute conversation, right? And then if I don't have a phone call, I'm like probably, and don't take this advice, but I'm probably like sitting at stoplights reading emails and doing stuff while doing emails, right? And then I'm at work, and like it's the same thing. It's all through the day. So it's like 9 to 10, there's something, 10 to 11, something, 11 to 11:15, 11:15 to 11:45, and then 11:45 to 12. And then it's the same thing as your life. So none of us have time, but it's like the time you do have, when there is a moment, you have to maximize the moment, and you have to compartmentalize the time. This is something for me personally that I struggle with, and that I'm always striving for. And by the grace of God, I have an amazing wife who walks beside me every single day to help keep me accountable with it, because she knows how busy my brain is, right? So like when you're working, work. When you're practicing, practice. When you're putting, putt. When you're hitting balls, hit balls. When you're being a dad, be a dad. When you're being a husband, be a husband. But trying to make it to where you're doing these things in silos so that you can be fully present. And I mean, I am constantly having to remind myself to like be where I am, where I am, because everything requires attention, right? So, if there's anything to just probably leave with today, right, is maximize every moment you have. If you're sitting around pumping gas, try to fire off an email. Like, if you're sitting around waiting at the doctor's office and you're a business owner, throw out an Instagram post, right? Like, do everything that you can in that moment to maximize your time to get the highest ROI off of your time and maximize that. And that's one of the things why, like, even with our Elite Junior Academy, I say that to the parents. I go, yeah, like your kid's going to learn golf, but they're going to learn how to manage their time. Because instead of going home, getting off the bus, walking in the house, getting inside at 3:20, getting a snack, sitting down, watching TV from 3:30 to 5:30 or 5, right? Then they start to study. Then while they're studying, they're Snapchatting and TikToking. And then it's like dinner's at 6. And then like they end up studying for like 4.5 hours till 10. And they could have got it all done in an hour and a half if they just took their phone and just go like, and like turned it off and got it away from them. So it's like learning how to build your life in these silos and chunking so that you can maximize your time and you can get everything done, right? And some things like you got to prioritize what things need to get done first and what needs to thing. But like it's learning how to prioritize everything so that you can sponge out. And then at the same time, realizing, since this is Stock Shot Secrets, is that when you do chunk your time to go practice, you need a plan to know what to practice, unless you don't care about getting better. And if you don't, that's okay too. Like I've said before, my dad, 28 handicap, could care less about playing good. I mean, if he shoots 105 or shoots 92, doesn't really matter to him, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you are passionate about wanting to get better and you're wanting to lower your handicap and go from a 20 to a 15 or a 15 to a 10 or a 10 to a 5 or a 5 to a scratch, then you need to have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, then you need a mentor. So get a mentor. And if you don't know a mentor, well, like, here's one. We're here, right? So I just want to share that all on my heart just so you guys can see this, because I think that, like, this idea of, like, we don't have time, no one has time. You just have to make time. And whatever the time is, to kind of go one last point before we sign off, is that the time you make is always the deeper yes that sits inside your soul. So what I mean by that is, like, if getting better is a priority and it's really important, you're going to figure out how to make time, right? Whatever is the deeper yes is what you will end up doing, right? So for me, just to be very honest, if you look at my body, like, I do a lot of stuff on video, and I was getting to a point where I was like, man, like, I'm on video a lot. Like, I need to get in shape, right? Because I don't want to be like 45 and like some blob that's sitting on the TV because I'm seeing myself all the time. So I need to go to the gym. So then I start working out with Aaron. That's my deeper yes, because I don't want to do that. So then Aaron comes, Ben, he goes, Kyle, great job. You're working out 3-4 days a week. Let's go more. And, like, you should watch what your diet is. And I go, you're right. However, my wife and I, like, we like to go on dates. And we like nice restaurant. Like, we like to go to have good food. And we like wine. And, like, we like to, that's like our, like, my wife was almost become a sommelier. Like, food and wine is a part of our life. It's a part of the culture of the Morris family. So I go, that yes is deeper than this other yes. Would I like to be ripped and have a six-pack? Sure. But I really like spending time with my wife and my family and not going to a nice restaurant and eating like a squirrel. So, like, the six-pack would be sweet, but, like, spending time with my wife is more important, right? So, like, whatever the deeper yes is what will win the race in your soul. And when you make things a priority, that will end up basically building out. So you have to first, like, prioritize, like, what is important. And then from there, you can build and compartmentalize the rest of it. So just want to share this with you. Hopefully it speaks to some. Maybe you get something out of it. Maybe you don't. But I think there's someone out there that it could help. So I hope you guys are all well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you guys. And we'll see you guys back here for another episode of Stock Shot Secrets. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of Stock Shot Secrets. Now, as a listener of Stock Shot Secrets, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get better. So if you were to go to stockshotclub.com, I'm going to give you 7 days free access where you can send us your video and we will give you personalized individual attention as to what you need to do so that you can start building stock shots. So just go to stockshotclub.com and register there. We'll give you 7 days free where you can try it. And then if we like it, you can stay inside the Stock Shot Club where we can become your coach and walk with you for your entire journey. Thank you so much. And be sure to go visit stockshotclub.com.